This is how we ride. This is how we do.
Man, oh man, I'll tell you what. This old dirt track racing world can be pretty damn low sometimes. But a lot of people seem to like kicking people when they're down. So convinced that their side of the aisle is the only aisle that could potentially be right. Is this necessarily an issue in the racing world? It's more than likely an issue in the actual world. But within our own racing family, as some people call it, there seems to be things done wrong from time to time. Now, yesterday there was some news that came out where Scott Bloomquist had all of a sudden got out of the 58 Big Frog Motorsports machine. That we had saw him hot lap at Golden Isle. We had saw him race the opener there at the Sunshine Nationals. And honestly, I was very intrigued, looking forward to Scott Bloomquist in a rocket. You know, when's the last time he drove anything but his own stuff? And then obviously with the post you see here, Chris Ferguson jumped into the car last night. Thanking Augie, Mike, Scott Bloomquist for letting me will. Unexpected but ready to rip. Now, for some reason, this spurred an onslaught of criticism towards Scott Bloomquist. Things from personal issues off the track to he just can't drive on the track, although he was out there making laps competitively in this car. I mean, obviously it took a second for him to get going in it, but hey, he's still making laps out there, and he still could probably be competitive with the right treatment. Now, is that treatment on the racetrack with the car or treatment in his legs or something? The official statement, obviously, that we've been hearing is that his leg went numb during the B main. Which, I mean, I don't know who else is out there that has had your leg go numb, but it is not a very fun feeling. And if obviously with the wrecks he's had on and off the track in his career, having some kind of lower back issue, which is where this would spur from, could potentially cause your legs to go numb, especially when you're cinched in to a race car in a laying legs flat, feet out position. But the racing community didn't want to see that. The racing community wanted to hate, wanted to be mean, wanted to criticize, wanted to gossip about what had happened to Scott. You know, you think the late model world would be a little nicer to people, especially after last year with Rick Eshelman and men's mental health, but no one's seeming to care about that stuff. And I did come across a post that said something very true and was very hard to the point, and I think got the point across. It was made by John Horn, who's a great videographer in the racing world, and he has a real good way of putting things here. He says, "A little worthless commentary on the Bloomquist saga at Volusia. The only thing I'm going to say is that I've seen all the posts, read all the shallow-ass comments regarding Scott's ability to wheel a car, and even some that claim to know his personal business. Let me tell you something. If you have never been cut out of a vehicle or ran over a motorcycle, you've got absolutely no idea what it feels like to be going through what he's going through." Now, this is a very interesting part here because John Horn has been in a severe car crash. He goes on to say here, "I know from my own experience that my car crash changed my life. 180 degrees. Your body changes, and at some point you cannot do the things you used to do as well. To sit and watch people drag his name through the mud because he's having a tough time trying to earn a living doing the only thing he knows, I'll just say it, it's repulsive. It says more about you than it does him. Let me let you in on a little secret. All of us who've given everything in our lives to this sport of racing will eventually be left in the same spot one day, left with nothing but memories." Very true, very honest statement there from John Horn about the situation, and hopefully can spur some humbleness in the racing world, in particular the dirt racing world. You know, something that really was kind of funny, and somewhat relatable in a way on how bad the racing world is. I put a post in All Things Sprint Cars. It's a Facebook group with a pretty good amount of people. And I was sharing a late model post, sort of a late model post, because I think it involved Larson a little bit. And obviously we see Larson as a sprint car guy. But this was kind of relatable to that. And the blowback on this is just kind of insane as well. I said a simple question. Hey guys, question. Why not allow dirt late model posts in here? I mean, it is all dirt racing. Way better than NASCAR. I bet you watch that because you love Cole Trickle more than David Gravel. But how about we challenge the community to watch a dirt late model race for every time they watch a NASCAR race? For even 5 minutes, because that's the length of a good dirt race. Sound good? Question mark. Now, there was some people with some, respectful comments here. But there was some others that, are just cruel. Chaz has just put on display for all the world that he is either blind or cannot read. The name of the group explains it, because if I wanted to watch stock cars or follow them, I go to their page. If I wanted to follow late models, it's all things sprint cars. Sprint car find a late model group. Why is it so divided? And, why does people call me clown? Simply because I didn't say that late models were better than sprint cars. I simply said, hey, NASCAR has you sprint car fans watching them because they pull a Cole Trickle every 10 years. Gordon, Stewart, Larson, Kane, Bell. They got y'all watching them. That's an asphalt race. Y'all never used to do that prior to this Cole Trickle syndrome. Why don't, for y'all that watch NASCAR and sprint cars, why don't y'all, for every race you watch of NASCAR, which is, I don't know how many, but I'm just saying, why don't we challenge the community to watch a late model race for every NASCAR race? Not saying not watch sprint cars, just saying, hey, watch late models for every time you watch NASCAR. It's our own kind of racing. It's dirt track racing. And it gets this giant blowback. Closed-minded syndrome. And I would almost put this same challenge to the late model crowd. For the late model fans that watch NASCAR or anything along those lines. Why don't y'all, for every NASCAR race, watch a sprint car race? We have two fan bases that are so separated, that's why we can't grow. The NHRA, they have their fan bases that like Top Fuel and Funny Car, but they go and watch them both. And that, to me, is the best comparison to what sprint cars and late models is Top Fuel and Funny Car. Winged and open-wheeled and then full-bodied. But we can't even get the fan base to watch one another. At least we can't get sprint car fans to watch a late model race for every time they watch a NASCAR race. Just another example of how the fan base is so against change and progression and sympathy and caring for others. It is just so bad. And Scott Bloomquist was just a microcosm of this situation. Kind of like the roots to the tree. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, wake up from the spells. Wake up today. Let's be nice to Scott Bloomquist. I mean, let's just honor what he's done for the sport overall. And, hey, we got some great racing coming at Volusia. We got great racing next week at Golden Isle. Sprint cars at Sonoya. Great racing across the board. I'm just saying, let's respect and give where credit's due across the entire board of this dirt track racing thing. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen.
This is how we ride. This is how we do.